Hello. So this is a very impromptu episode of Poly Side Eye. We're back tonight. Happy Sunday, y'all, with Jared, JC Tiger fan. Thank you for joining me. I know you are so busy, sir. You know, in the process of writing your book and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, when you were texting me, I was like, well, you know how I feel about this topic, so I've been excited to talk about it for a while. So we can just use Janet as like a launching off point.
A springboard of sorts. Yeah, like Jared is very passionate about this topic. We text about it a lot actually because I personally, I do kind of care, admittedly, what celebrities think in regards of politics because they're influential. But yeah, the topic of this episode is celebrity worship culture and politics, and why do we care? So I guess what brought on this conversation was the whole Janet thing. We talked about it on Pop Rose for a bit. I did kind of drag Miss Jackson just a little bit, just a little bit. She said she was basically questioning Kamala's blackness, and I just thought it was kind of absurd. I mean, Google is free and widely accessible, especially to a woman of her stature, and Janet Jackson, of all people, questioning someone's blackness when I'm sure she wouldn't want someone to question her son's blackness or her niece and nephew's blackness as well. So, yeah, that was on Pop Roast. I said that. But, yeah, today, earlier, she announced an apology through a rep. And then later on, it's basically said that this person that made that statement for her wasn't even her manager. So the comment still stands. I guess she don't give a damn. She don't give a F. And yeah, we're right there now. And people are just kind of disappointed in Janet because, you know, we all love Janet. I don't think she's never really had a faux pas like this. I mean, the Super Bowl don't count, obviously. But yeah, a lot of people have something to say about it. And then when I told you, Jared, you were just like, why do people give a fuck? You know what Janet says.
Yeah, so let me just put all my cards on the table. So I'm not going to equivocate about where I stand on this. I really don't want nobody. I don't want anybody to care about what celebrities have to say about anything. And the other thing I'm going to say is, if Janet does in fact not care about any of this stuff, I'm really happy about it because I hope she's somewhere. Here's my one time defending rich people. I really hope she's somewhere being rich, like cackling at all of these people being in a tizzy about it. That's what I really hope. So I just wanted to let everyone know where I stand on the issue, so there's no confusion.
Okay, that's fine. But yeah, just like in the thumbnail, like there's just been a lot of celebrities that have come out to either endorse or say some things that's just kind of like I feel is irresponsible as people with a platform. Like Usher, for example, also Pharrell. And then, you know, with Taylor Swift, she finally came out and said, you know, I am with Kamala and I do not support Donald Trump or whatever. And I thought it's a big deal. But what is your main idea?
Can we stop there? Because I feel like we're assuming that it's a big deal. And I need somebody to like walk me through logically, like why this is a big deal. As in, like, what is the precise mechanisms by which a celebrity saying something about politics is going to, I don't know, meaningfully impact or change the trajectory of anything. I just want to hear the logic because I'm not seeing the connection.
So this is what I was trying to say, you know, over text message to you. Well, you did pose a question to the audience. I also want them to try to answer this question.
Please,
too.
I want anybody who can explain it like I'm 6, like the connection, because I'm not getting it.
Right. Repeat the question for the audience.
Okay, I need somebody to explain to me, sit me down and explain to me like I'm in kindergarten. What is the direct connection between a celebrity saying something that we think is quote unquote problematic, whatever that might be? I'm being generous. I'll accept a lot of things that are probably not really problematic in the grand scheme of things, but I'll accept it. But anyway, what's the connection between a celebrity saying something problematic and some type of meaningful impact on the social world in which we inhabit. I mean, meaningful, like changing people's lives. I need to hear the connection because I'm not seeing it.
Okay. So my answer would be that we're kind of like a celebrity obsessed culture already. So it's already like we're already conditioned. And then when you have like a celebrity that, I mean, they're different between me and you. They have influence, they have wealth, they
But
have
what is being
power.
influenced? What's being influenced?
Like celebrities have influence on
Yeah,
people.
but influencing them how? Like, what if Jaded's saying Kamala Harris is not black? What is that influencing?
There are some people that will hang on to celebrities' words as fact, and that might, I guess, propel them not to vote for Kamala or have these like opinions.
Okay, but we're getting a lot of assumptions. We're assuming that they were going to vote for Kamala. We're assuming that they might hear one person out of all the people they might be hearing. I don't know, their parents, their friends, their coworkers, their spouses, their significant others. We think that some people, for some reason that we haven't been able to articulate, might be influenced by this. I'm just not seeing the connection. I feel like we overstate the power that celebrities have. I'm not saying that they aren't potentially influential, but like the way that we go about like trying to quote unquote hold them accountable, which is another issue I have with the way we go about trying to hold them accountable, I don't think it's actually doing what we think it's doing. In fact, I think it's exacerbating the situation, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Actually, I didn't mean to interrupt. I had to get that clarifying point out.
It's fine. I mean, I just feel like it's a class hierarchy. Like someone like Beyonce, let's just say, saying that she's voting for Kamala, like just in a political atmosphere, that might inspire someone. Okay, well, Beyonce came out like she really believes in Kamala, so I'm gonna trust Beyonce's opinion or something like that. Just like the bare bones example. And then as far as just influential on like a more general like scale, I would say just recently, like she has gays buying whiskey, like people that don't even enjoy whiskey or buy it. Like that's influential. Like you're influencing people to buy a product because of your status or who you are, your talent. And I just think our society, and not just our society, I mean, like overseas too, like how they worship celebrities. There's idols in Korea. Like, just celebrities have influence.
No,
They do. And we
I don't.
care what they say. And if Janet says something stupid, then it just kind of makes me look at Janet like, damn, like we put you on this pedestal, and we shouldn't, but just as a society, like we put someone based on their talent or their wealth, their status. Like we just have, I guess we put morals onto them or whatever. And I mean, I guess why so many of them like let us down or disappoint us because they're just as human. But it's just something we as society do. I'm not saying it's right. Am I making sense?
No, I don't dispute that people idolize celebrity figures. I agree. That's the whole concept of celebrity. I get all of that.
But it
My,
can't influence elections, though, I think.
well, that part I'm not convinced by. I need to see more empirical evidence. I think there's a lot of conjecture and a lot of assumptions that I don't personally think are founded. And there's also pretty strong evidence in political science research that like endorsements and things like that by like public figures do very little, if anything at all, to actually sway the outcome of the electorate. And so I'm from an academic standpoint, I'm not seeing the connection. I would just need somebody to like put some research or something in front of me to like make me believe that, because I'm just not buying what people are selling. But to your other point, so my whole thing is this, like apparently people don't want people to say the wrong things. I kind of already alluded to this in previous episodes. Like when people say things we don't agree with, the way we want to go about like addressing that is authoritarianism. By the way, wanting to censor people and use like these types of forms of censorship is very fascist. I'm just saying. But like beyond that, like So what do we do about this? Like, people are gonna think stupid things until like until like it's always gonna be the case. So like, how do you go about addressing that? Rather than, I don't know, like publicly tar and feathering somebody, maybe what we might do is have a rational discourse about it. But no, people don't want to do that. They just want to like pile on people. And I'm like, okay, but if we really want to have a democracy, at least that's what people claim. I don't know. The last episode, I said something controversial, which is I don't think people actually want democracy. I think we say we want it, but I don't think we really do, because we do authoritarian shit like this. Like, we just pile on people instead of engaging in, I don't know, rational discourse about it.
Well,
Like, if people feel as though Janet has, let's say, a stance on the race concept that is incorrect, and I'm putting air quotes around this because the race concept is ridiculous anyway, but let's just say she has a incorrect stance about this. Maybe what we would do then is like approach Janet about it and say, oh, well, let's have a rational exchange about it, and then maybe we can enlighten you about something. But no, we want to jump on her and say, oh, she's crazy and all these other things. I'm just like, what is that accomplishing aside from making you feel good about yourself? Because you're not actually, the statement has already been said. So like, the impact she may have had in influencing somebody is already done. So you can't put that genie back in the bottle. So I'm just not seeing the logical connections here. It just feels very like emotionally charged, but no reasoning whatsoever.
but I think with what Janet said, like, she just said something that just wasn't a fact. Like, Kamala is black. Kamala is
The
black.
thing is, there's no such thing as somebody's right race. Race itself is not a real concept. Yes, it has significance, whatever, but like ultimately trying to like decipher who is or isn't black, it's like stupid. Like, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. I agree.
And so, like, so we could just also be like, it doesn't matter, and just like keep it moving. But we give more attention to it than we need to. Like, if people weren't tweeting about it, most people probably wouldn't even know what happened.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying Janet is the one that brought it up. Like, the reporter just said in the article, like, isn't it exciting that we might have the first black Indian president? And then she said, oh, is she black? I don't think she's black. And I'm just like, no, it's just like saying like the world is flat to me. I mean, I get the construct of race doesn't exist. I totally agree with you on that. But I'm just saying, like, she's the one that brought that up, and it was not factual. She wasn't saying facts.
Well, like, that's about, like, there is no factual race. Like, that's the point.
But her
Like,
dad isn't white. Her dad isn't white.
there's no way that you can prove this. That's my point. We're getting up in arms about something that's ultimately not falsifiable. Like, that's what I'm saying. Yes, we know that Kamala identifies as a black woman. Okay, like, I just feel like it doesn't matter. I want us to like collectively not care about these things. And I know what you'll say. You'll be like, well, that's just the way it is. No, it's not just the way it is. It's this way because we allow it to be this way. We collectively reproduce the same things we're critiquing. So like, the way that we start to change that is by like not getting up in arms about these things. And maybe, I don't know, in like 3 centuries, we might get to, if climate change doesn't kill us first,
Right.
we might get to a point in which people will hear something like this and be like, you know what? I don't care, because like, I don't know her and you don't know her. None of us know who Janet Jackson, like, unless you are proximate to her in her family, something, you do not know this woman. So like, so these parasocial relationships are also weird. And I want us to like stop falling for the okie doke. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I can't be charitable. Usually I have a much more charitable stance in these things, but like, I have to like throw a bucket of cold water on it because I just am not I cannot accept this is just the way it is. Like, no, we can collectively change these things. And we should start by not caring what celebrities have to say, because it does not matter. And it does matter. It only matters because we allow it to matter.
Right. I mean, I agree with you. We shouldn't care what celebrities think, but
so why are we tweeting about it? So why are we tweeting about it? Why are we giving it more attention than we know it doesn't deserve? But yet we give it. We tweet about it. We text people. But why do we do it?
Because these are figures that are put on a pedestal, and because of their wealth.
Where does the pedestal come from? It's not just there. Like, we construct it.
We construct it, but I mean, we're just in that society like of class hierarchy. Like
No,
rich
but
people are going to always be put on a pedestal sometimes.
no, what I'm saying is like we're conflating things. What
Okay.
I'm saying is the platform we just assume they're going to have is constructed by us. And like anytime we pick up our phone to tweet about this, we're constructing the platform that we're also saying they shouldn't have. So like we shouldn't contribute to it. And I'm saying like if we could all figure out a way to collectively see things like this and be like, you know what, Janet is rich. She also doesn't even live in America and probably isn't voting anyway. It does not matter. That should be our collective response to this. But instead, we give it way more attention than it deserves. And then the algorithms take that and feed it back to us, get us up in a frenzy about something that really doesn't matter instead of focusing on something that does matter. And like, I just want better for us.
And I do feel like to undo conditioning, it's going to take years, maybe many, many decades.
Yes, so that's why we should start now. Like, if we never started, it'll never happen.
Easier said than done. Like the utopia is nowhere in sight.
It's not a utopia, but that social change doesn't happen overnight. It starts from a recognition that we don't want this to be the case anymore. So we're going to start chipping away at it. And like maybe in, I don't know, 6 generations, we might get to a point in which this culture is not a thing. At least not us being in these weird parasocial relationships with these figures who don't give a fuck about us. Like maybe by like 2150, we might get to a point where we will have unwound celebrity culture. But like if we just keep accepting it as is, like we'll never get to that point. And I'm just like, I'm gonna do my part in like screaming until I'm like red in the face that we can collectively just not care. Like it's that simple.
I'm going to read some of the comments.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I just like I'm look, the comments are funny. They're feeding super up. Like, who the fuck is this?
Let's see. If they care about Kamala being black, then they weren't planning to vote for her, if at all. But I think that Joe Rogan, for example, has huge influence on politics because he helps shape what 16 to 25-year-old men think and do.
Yes, I agree, and I think we should all collectively stop like try to do our best to like undo that. I agree. He does have a huge platform, but we should like do our best to chip away at it. That's my point.
It's not so much about what she said about Kamala. For me, it's the fact that she is the ultimate celebrity that has enough media training to not make that mistake in the way she answered the question.
Okay, so let me say something about media training. So essentially what we want celebrities to be are androids, like just saying the things that we think are the right things. Like let them say whatever the fuck they want. Let us have enough discernment to be like, okay, that's ridiculous, but also I don't have to care. Like that's I want better for us. Like yes, people are going to hold shitty opinions, ourselves included. I'm sure I have plenty of things that I'm not sure. I know I have many shitty opinions about lots of things. I know you do too. And here, like putting it on the table, if I've ever said anything stupid on politics, you don't have to believe what I'm saying. Like you do not have to listen to me. So let me just say that. But it's just like we want celebrity. Now I understand why like Beyonce doesn't talk to y'all because like y'all are obsessed about like whipping people into saying what y'all want them to say instead of like letting them be human and say what they want. And if they say something stupid, we can just be like, you know what? It does not matter because I do not know them.
Someone being talented does not make them an informed, moral, or good person. I think it more so makes people feel better that someone they idolize agrees with them.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for this comment because you put your finger in something I was saying earlier, which is that all of this is narcissism. All of the people who are up in arms about Janet saying something they think is crazy is narcissism because you know what? It's like, oh, my favorite celebrity, my idol said something I don't like. And then it potentially reflects poorly upon me because like I associate myself with this person. And so like there is this like narcissistic reaction. Like I want to support people that have good opinions because I have good opinions. And if I have good opinions, then by extension, like the people I like must have good opinions. And I'm just like, it does not matter. Listen to the music. Like it does not matter.
You're getting very philosophical.
It's very philosophical. Like that's the like I just
Because it's like it's basically morals and ethics, and then you just be like, well, who's to say what's good and what's bad and shit like that? And I feel like we automatically know what's good and bad.
no, we don't. We do not automatically know
Well,
what's
racism is bad, and I don't want to listen to the music of a racist.
well, yeah, but also like it's not agreed upon as to what constitutes racism, and also like you're not gonna not listening to it isn't gonna eradicate it. So like, what is the that's the other thing I don't get. Like, what do we think we're achieving by like censoring people or by like I don't know publicly castigating them? What do we think we're achieving in doing that?
Well,
It's not from making ourselves feel better because the racism is going to continue to exist. You're not doing. In fact, I would argue that it actually makes it worse because what you end up doing is you end up making martyrs out of these people, or you make people like part of the reason Joe Rogan has this big platform he has is because people were accusing him of being racism and like anti-woke and stuff. And so he says, okay, bet I'm going to go off and like now I'm going to be a martyr because I can talk about how the liberal media just like skewered me for just speaking my mind, like just getting rid of like free speech. And so I'm like, now he's gonna have an even bigger platform to spew his nonsense to. And it's again like if we think that people have, let's say, racist ideas about things, which many people do, we all do because we all live in a racist society.
mhm.
If we believe that we want to live in a society in which that is not the case, or at least it's not the case, or to the extent that it is now, I think the way you go about doing that is trying to have some form of like rational exchange that you have to in a democracy. That's the only way you're going to do it. Like, what other options do you have? Just to censor them, which is authoritarian. So, like, if you just want to censor people, just say that you're authoritarian and just admit that. Like, just say you don't want democracy because
I'm gonna push back. So, just like you said earlier, like I feel like you said that like racism is always going to be there; it's not going to change. So, what's the difference between when I said
no,
that?
I didn't say racism was always going to be there. I'm saying people are always going to say stupid things.
Oh, okay, all right. I was about to say because I'm like, well, if that's the case, racism is going to change. Then I mean, the whole thing about celebrity culture, I mean, that may not ever change, but we want it to, you know.
Okay, so like we should start collectively trying to figure out a way to do that instead of doubling down on
Uh,
it.
I agree with this, Crash. I agree that people don't want democracy, but there are also some viewpoints that should be rejected because they're not from a position of rationality. Janet's
Okay,
position
so
is not rational.
okay, so here's the thing. Like what do you mean by reject those rules? Do you mean censor them? Because I've seen some like oftentimes what I see is like, oh, we should stop like listening to this artist, presumably to like, cut some of their money stream. I'm like, oh, so like what you really want to do is like, hurt someone's livelihood. Like that's really what you want. And so my whole thing is like, again, what do you do about people who hold stupid standpoint? I am a Tocquevillian, and so I believe that the way you do that is by rational exchange. And if you don't think that's possible, if you think the only way you can do that is like by being censored, like to censor them or to be authoritarian, then just say you don't believe in democracy. Like that's my whole thing. Like, what are you going to do about that? And like, if we believe in the human capacity for people to change, then why wouldn't you want to have some type of reasonable back and forth with them in hopes that you could change their opinions or their beliefs about something? Like, isn't that kind of how it's supposed to work in a purported democracy? You know, the democracy that Kamala claims we're trying to save? Like, isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? So what's the truth?
I bet some people are calling you like so obtuse right now in the
No,
comments.
I'm like seriously want somebody to explain to me.
I also
Nobody should support censorship because
is
there's
it
always
censorship though? Like
yes,
for
if
shit,
you're just wanting somebody not to say something they said, that is censorship. You want to
well, you can say what you want. You can say what you want, but don't act like there's not going to be consequences of
well,
what
what's
you.
the consequence? Being censored. That's what I'm saying. Like, what is the point? Like, what is the end goal? What are we trying to achieve in like doing all of this?
Sound off in the chat, y'all, please. Crash, thank you again. I feel like we see each other. I think dismissing the influence of celebrities because it's fundamentally illogical is a bad way to go about it personally, but that's just me.
No, I admitted they have influence. What I said is they only have influence because we give it to, the fact that we're doing an episode right now, we're recreating the same exact problem I'm critiquing. That's my point.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Twitter conversations are always without nuance. Janet is a 58-year-old woman who lives in the UK, and her brother Randy is a manager and super MAGA. She is not focused on American politics. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I think
it's not a place you go for new. That's why I'm like, why we need a real public comments. Not Twitter is not a public comment. Twitter is a cesspool where people go to just scream into the ether because they don't feel like they can do anything else in the world, and so that makes them feel like they have some sense of power, but you really don't. Not on Twitter.
That's not going to happen. Money is way more important to people.
That's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you say something's not going to happen as a reason to not act, it's definitely not going to happen.
Also, we need to normalize people making mistakes or not necessarily agreeing with everyone and not having to cancel them.
Thank you, Jarrell. Thank you for such a compliment. Imagine that. Imagine giving people, the opportunity to learn and to change their mind and to be challenged and to potentially come up with a better position that perhaps is a bit more respectful or enlightened. Imagine that. Such a novel idea.
Pause for a second. We have over 100 people in the room. Thank y'all for joining us. If you're just coming in, we're talking about celebrity worship culture, especially in politics, and why do we care? And Jared is sounding off right now, probably making some people angry and frustrated, but it's fine because it is his opinion and it's definitely showing like you're thinking outside the box. I appreciate it.
I think it's hilarious that people are saying I'm conservative.
Really? People are saying
I'm conservative. No, so I'm not. Well, it depends what we mean by conservative. I am anti giving the state more power over our lives than they already do. And so I'm a socialist and I want freedom. And censoring people is not going to get us there. And so I think we should have rational back and forth.
Let's see. Democrats don't support democracy. If they did, they wouldn't be suing to remove the Green Party.
Yeah, they are entirely anti-democratic. They don't even
That's true.
Yes.
They're suing the Green.
Yeah, to get them off the ballot in certain states, because in Michigan and states with large Palestinian populations, the Green Party has actually been siphoning quite a few votes away from the Democrat in these swing states, and so they're trying to essentially stop the Green parties from making it onto the ballot, finding these little loopholes and things. No, the Democratic Party is not democratic at all. I mean, neither one of them. Both of the major parties hate democracy. I mean, and we just feed into it. We don't want democracy either. I just want people to admit that.
Mm-hmm. Some people should be canceled, and it's always the people who complain about cancel culture. Let me see.
I'm Tocquevillean in the sense that I believe that you have to have a strong civil society or some degree of us taking ownership over decision making, as opposed to just off-board, leaving that up to corporations or private entities to censor people, which is what you're doing if you try to use Twitter as a means of doing that.
I actually agree with Jared. I just don't see why. I just don't see how this can be reversed. Social media has only made the situation worse.
Wait.
Well, they didn't finish their statement. How many times do you see people and then they didn't say the rest of it?
Yeah, Tocqueville hated socialism because he still believed in small scale capitalism. But we can't speculate. But I think if he could have seen what it was transitioning to into this this monstrous monopoly capitalism, I think he probably would have had second thoughts.
For the people that don't know this, what is a Tocquevillian. Is that how you say it?
A Tocquevillian.
Tocquevillian socialist. Like, please break that down for the people.
Capitalism is just an abstraction. Like, it's not. I'm not having a debate over terminology.
Okay.
I've
never heard of that.
It was so there's a book called Democracy in America by Alexis de Tocqueville. Guy came over from France to essentially write not a kind of a descriptive account of how democracy was developing during the 19th century, essentially. But a lot of observations about how people negotiated like decision making and like their relationship to power, et cetera, et cetera. It's a pretty common book, and they're taught in like undergraduate political science classes.
Okay, the more you know. Tocquevillian. Hell. Our whole political system needs to be replaced.
That's why.
A socialist who wants freedom.
Yeah, the only way any of us ever get more freedom is under socialism. So, like, I already did the episode on this. Go.
Interesting. Yeah, we do have an episode about
socialism. Episode. I tried to, all 17 people who watched the episode.
Yeah, that episode. Not too many people checked in for that one, but it's fine. Like, I feel like.
Okay. The people want socialism, they're just not ready for it yet. So when people are ready for it, like the video will be there. If climate change doesn't take us out first.
Right. You said earlier you wanted to expand on a point, or do you remember?
Not Crash is Crash is like trying to troll me for whatever reason. I appreciate it though. Thank you. I wanted to expand on what?
You said something about earlier that you wanted to expound upon, but it was a little bit earlier in the episode. It's fine.
I don't remember. I feel like I said what I want to say.
Where can we find you, Jared? You can find him on Twitter and Instagram. It's JayC Tigerfan. JayCtigerFan. Mostly on Twitter, where you will, definitely see his opinions.
Yes.
And occasional thirst traps.
Yeah, what was I gonna? Yeah, so I remember. Yeah, I wanted to know what the ultimate, what is the ultimate aim of like, how do we think we're holding Janet accountable? Like, again, I want somebody to explain the accountability mechanism. Like, what is the how? Yeah, explain it to me.
Well, I just feel like we're just correcting her, I guess, because you just said something that, like Crash said, isn't rational. It isn't a fact. You just said something wrong. You sound misinformed. So people are trying to inform you however way they feel. Like D.L. Hughley had to say something a little bit rude.
And how do we know this is actually doing what we think it's doing? Just because.
I mean, it's a fact, though. That's the thing. You're just basically saying no.
Like, how is she being held accountable? Like, people are like, we need to hold her accountable.
I guess she's being corrected.
Okay, correcting somebody is not the same as holding them accountable. I'm just saying. Like, because I thought the whole point was like, we're trying to stop Janet from like, I don't know, influencing people from like potentially not voting for Kamala. Like, I still don't see that connection. But like, I don't see what the end goal is. Like, what are we trying to do?
Well, I definitely don't think she needs to be held accountable. Like, she didn't do anything. She just said something wrong and not that smart. Like, there shouldn't be like, like she didn't do a crime or anything. So I'm not sure she can be held accountable, but I'm just saying that she should be corrected.
Okay. I mean, I've seen people say we're trying to hold Auntie accountable. And I'm just like, she's not your Auntie. Stop. And number two, like, how? Like, it just sorry, like I promise I'm like not usually this like contentious. It just I want better for us. I just want us to stop caring about celebrities.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds great on paper, but I feel like people are going to continue to care about celebrities. I think one of the comments earlier was, so why do these campaigns pay, excuse me, pay celebrities sometimes to, like, endorse them or whatever, if people don't listen to what celebrities say?
Because it's an industry, it's a business. Like, again, this is the way it works. Like, part of it is like we have a okay, so we live in a point in which billionaires, well, like 50 billionaires in America own like 40% of the total wealth in the country. And so you know what that means? That means they have a lot of fucking money to just do nothing with. And so like part of the reason we spend all of this money on fucking campaigns is not because it's necessary, but because it employs people. It's an industry now. And it's not only an industry from the standpoint of like hiring people to do like campaign stuff, but it's also an industry for like these social media companies because they can sell more data to these different campaigns to micro target us. And so like there is money involved and it pays people. So like people are going to find a reason to spend the money. But like most political research, science research has like been fairly, if not fully conclusive, but like suggestive of the fact that pretty much the campaign money is a wash, in the sense between the two parties, in the sense that it's a wash. Like, and so they just keep spending more and more and more because it's like a tug of war. Like, you really don't want to be the one to like spend just a little bit too less than the other person, and that might be slightly decisive. But like in the grand scheme of things, most people have already made up their mind, and the campaigns are so micro targeted now that you really don't need to spend that much money. It's just because it's a business now. And so like celebrities get their piece of the cut too, because they're also rich most of the times.
Some people want to just answer your question about, what is being held accountable. So we have one person saying accountable for spreading misinformation. We want to counteract the wrong statements. And then Crash said accountability can take many forms, but I think it looks different depending on if the actor is acting in good or bad faith. But I don't care what Janice says because it makes no sense.
Wait, go back to the last one, the counteract thing.
Yeah, we want to counteract the wrong statements.
Okay, so like, do we just think that if celebrities say the right things, like everybody will just like, I don't know, magically believe the right things as though they're not all these other intervening variables? I don't know, your workplace, your church, your family, your friends, the things you're watching on TikTok. I mean, there's all these other things that could be influencing your belief system. So like, why do we think that celebrities are just so uniquely powerful in this way? Like, I'm not saying that they aren't a part of the equation, but it's like, of all of the things that could potentially be shaping somebody's belief system, I would venture to say like a celebrity is probably not in like the top 3 things.
Okay. Well, I think I said the reason why I personally care why Janet said that, because for one, I like Janet, and for her to just say something just so misinformed disappoints me. And that's just my reason.
You don't know her.
I know that, but
you don't know disappoints you.
I mean, because I like her. I mean, you can like someone without knowing them.
Okay, yeah, but like you're being disappointed by something that she said that has nothing to do with the art she produces. And I'm just like, I'll never understand, because I literally, there's no celebrity, like, I don't know, like somebody could come out and say something to, like, I don't care. Like, I don't care what anybody has to say about anything pertaining to politics, because I know for a fact, and I'm not saying that there aren't people out there who don't know, and so they're more impressionable. I'm not, that people are going to misconstrue what I'm saying, because I think people are thinking that I'm giving people too much credit. My whole thing is like, we should give ourselves credit, because if we don't give ourselves credit, who else will? And so like, we should collectively think better of ourselves, because it's going to be incumbent upon us to do anything better in the world.
It's a parasocial relationship, which we are all guilty of if we like someone.
Yeah, so that means we have to be especially critical of ourselves and like take a step back and say like, why? So I'll give an example, so people think I'm just like, throwing the rock and hiding my hand. I have had a situation in which I had a very unhealthy parasocial relationship to football. it had gotten so bad at one point that when LSU would lose football games, which was becoming a little bit more commonplace than I wanted, when they were losing football games, I would be literally distraught about it, so emotionally in a tizzy that I would like essentially like cancel plans, or I would be moping in my house. Like it was just ridiculous. And I was just so emotionally invested in this. And I had to take a step back and say, what, you know what? It does not matter. Do I want my team to win the game? Yes. But if they don't, will it matter? No, it won't. You know what? So I'm just gonna watch the game when it's on, and that's gonna be that. I'm like, I had to have my own reckoning for myself and saying, like, this is ridiculous. I really don't have to care. And you know what? No, I don't. After the game is over, I move on my life. And I just want us to like collectively stop caring. And like the way we can start is by being critical of ourselves and saying, like, okay, these things that we're allowing ourselves to get worked up over, we really shouldn't. And we really don't have to, because it does not matter.
I don't think any misinformation from anyone is okay, regardless of what it's about. Why speak on something you know nothing about?
Okay, the misinformation thing is a red herring. The problem isn't misinformation. The problem is that none of us know how to think anymore. And so, like, we're all susceptible to misinformation. We're all susceptible to things that are not true because we live in this microwave, instantaneous economy where we don't take a step back and to think critically about most of the things that we encounter. And so like everybody's gonna be susceptible to that. So like really what the issue is the broader political economy. So like if that's the case, we should be more cognizant of that and like also give people grace in understanding how this ecosystem works and trying to be all of us to be a bit more aware of this and like to be more skeptical, but like healthy skepticism. Be more skeptical about things and again be patient with each other. Like that's what we need, not just to be like, oh, like the way we do handle misinformation is just by like muting people. Like that's not gonna work. Mm-hmm. And we shouldn't want that to be the way we go about it anyway.
Best example is me loving Janet, but not allowing it to affect my opinion. No. We will never stop caring. No shade, but religion is a parasocial relationship.
I ain't touching that one.
Right. It's also called consider the source. I'm not going to take advice from my dentist about menopause.
Yeah, so you had discernment. Like you know that like your dentist probably doesn't have anything to tell you about this. So you're going to be like, okay, you're not in a position to like say something that is going to be meaningful to me. We should apply that same logic to celebrities. Janet, who does not live in the States, as someone said, is also Jehovah, does not involve herself in politics, probably hasn't read anything pertaining to politics since she took her high school civics course.
Probably hasn't even voted.
Don't have to believe anything that she says. You're welcome, Nikita.
Yes, folks go off of what they heard or read online. So most people do expose misinformation until they have the actual information. It would be good to double check, but most don't do that.
No, I agree, but we should start.
Oh boy. So I guess my last question is, people just shouldn't care about who a celebrity endorses, like celebrity endorsements for anything. Like we shouldn't care about that.
No, you should you should do your own work of determining which of the candidates is most aligned with your own interests, whether that be Kamala Harris or Donald Trump or Jill Stein or Rosie O'Donnell, whoever the fuck. Like that can be your decision. You shouldn't care that Taylor Swift or Beyonce, whoever else is supporting Kamala. That has nothing to do with you.
And you know what? I'm sorry. I just thought about it. Like, really, no celebrity like has really influenced me politically to vote. Maybe to buy something, but not to vote. But sometimes it's nice to know that their ideals are aligned with mine. And this is just an honest answer coming from me. I know I probably shouldn't feel that way, but I'm just saying I'm feeling honest about it. Like if Beyonce has like maybe the same ideals as me, I mean, I feel like that makes me happy.
I'm very Freudian right now, and I'm going to say it's because of your ego. Because this is a way for you to feel more grounded in your own values and in support in having a celebrity figure that shares your principles and your ideals. It makes you there's like this reciprocal relationship, obviously parasocially mediated.
Mm.
Um, I guess I don't care. I don't care if my favorite celebrities. Most of my favorite celebrities are not going to have the same political views as me. So like, I don't expect that. But even if that were possible, or I guess it is possible, but even if that were probable, I just wouldn't care because like I don't know them. Like, in the rich anyway, so if they're gonna vote for the tax cuts, I'm trying to, implement, trying to get rid of. So like, materially, I'm not gonna have the same interests as Beyonce. Not because like she's, I don't know, whatever. It's because she's fucking Beyonce and she's rich and like she's gonna support policies that grow her wealth so she can leave more money to her kids. And like those policies are gonna be necessarily antagonistic to what I want because like I don't have wealth. So like
Does that mean we're all narcissists?
yeah, we're all I mean, narcissist isn't like a permanent state. Like we all have narcissism is like something that we like. It's something we experience. Like it's not. Are you not? It's like at certain moments we exhibit narcissistic personalities. That's true for. I mean, for reasons that Fourier gets into with like us being wanting the mother's nipple and stuff. Like it's just Freud's kind of weird. But like long story short, like we all have the capacity to be narcissistic at certain times, and a lot of that is conditioned by like the social world we're in, where we're all like our identities are so fractured because we have to exert so much of our like self at work, and so like we don't get to really experience that for like prolonged periods of time, and so like we're always kind of out here. That's why everybody is like seeking therapy because like ourselves are so like. There's a really good book about this called "The Culture of Narcissism." In I think it's called "Politics in the Age of Diminishing Expectations," where he talks about how the way that capitalism is operating now like really does fracture our like sense of self and like really makes us really insecure in a lot of ways psychically. And so like I think part of the way narcissism shows itself is out of that insecurity.
Okay. I mean, look, I learn something every episode. And thank y'all for participating in the conversation in the chat. Really appreciate it. We've had a consistent 100 in the room. I mean, I love to see that, that y'all care, outside of housewives and pop culture that I'm known for. We love these conversations, and thanks, Jared, for facilitating that and giving us some gems.
Well, I had fun. I'm sorry, y'all, that I wasn't a little bit more charitable when it came to the discussion. But I told Chris I was going to be coming out like gloves on and swinging because, again, I want us not to care.
Drag me, Monique. Drag me. You probably don't get where that's from.
No, sorry.
Anyway, they got it in the chat probably.
So someone asked what my at is. It is JAYC.
I'll type it.
Man.
There it is. Okay.
Yay, that's me.
But yeah, I think I want our next episode. I mean, well, actually, let us know in the comments, like, what else would you like us to talk about, like as far as topics politically. We do have a foreign, what was I about to say? Foreign policy.
Foreign policy, yeah. It's in the words, so be on the lookout.
Yeah, a foreign policy episode with a special guest. Hopefully we can make that happen. What else? I guess we're going to just, nip it right here. If you want to add anything else to the chat, just ask Jared a question below. He loves answering questions. Yes, this is live. It is.
Wait, what's live as opposed to what? Like fake live?
I guess because you can do like a
like pre-recorded and
like
then
a
just
pre-recorded
live. Got it. No, like this is live. Like none of this was scripted. This is real reality TV, not that shit y'all watch.
Watch it. Too much.
Scripted reality. Scripted reality.
What's about to say? Yeah, I guess that's it. You have anything else you want to promote?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, thanks y'all for joining us. Um, what else am I forgetting? I know I was gonna say I'm just reading the comments right now.
Did I forget? Nobody asked a question or
This
somebody?
is a spirited discussion. I loved it. I'm glad. Okay, so people are interested in foreign policy. That's nice to know. They're just not interested in socialism. Okay.
They are. They just don't know yet.
Okay, I guess we can end it here. All right, y'all. So with that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see y'all for the next episode.